I have kind of waved off the idea because I honestly a lot of times don't want to think about it, and I think this stuff gets overblown. The way players on the outside react to it, and it's like, who's going to sign here? The players who we offer the most money to. You know where they're going to go? The place that offers them the most money, whether it's here or somewhere else. Look at this roster. Look at the assets they have. Look at what they need. They're going to have to buy someone at some point, probably a few guys. Like, we don't have a 1C, a 1D, or a 1G right now, I don't think. We'll see about the goalie. But as of this moment, he ain't here. Could this be a hindrance down the line? Like, do you think teams are going to look at this and go, like, my stance has always been, like, if you make a long-term decision based on the coach, that's asinine. Like, you shouldn't be paying your agent then because he's not getting you the best deal. Like, John Tortorella, I think there's 9 or 10 guys in the league who've had their jobs longer than him. He got hired a year and a half ago. Like, the coach ain't going to be here forever.
True.
He will not be longer than your long-term.
He's not young.
Yeah. No coach is going to be longer than your long-term contract. It just isn't going to happen unless, like, you end up playing for Tampa. And they only have so much cap space. But do you think this could be one of the things that prevents the Flyers from getting what they need to be cup contenders?
So is it a factor that can't be brushed aside like it's nothing? Yes, it's a factor. However, there's a couple reasons why I'm personally not that concerned about it. The main reason I'm not that concerned about it is simple. I never expected that free agency is going to be the way they get these guys.
Okay.
That I've always viewed it as, if they're going to get stars, because stars so rarely hit free agency. If they're going to get the stars they need, it's going to be because they traded for them. Now, don't get me wrong, this could still have an impact because one of the ways you get stars in trades is because they're going to be willing to sign an extension with you. Like, when Mark Stone got traded to Vegas, he signed with Vegas and immediately signed a contract extension. Had he not been willing to do that, they probably don't make that trade. They don't give up the assets that they gave up because it's like, well, we're not giving that up for a rental. We'll give that up for 7 more years of Mark Stone past this deadline, though. So there is a part of that where a star player who they are looking for at the trade deadline might say, I don't know if I want to play for John Tortorella. The flip side of that, however, and this is, I think, the way the Flyers would answer that question, is they don't want star players who are scared to play for John Tortorella. Those are not the kinds of stars they would want. Now, it's a bit of a concern because what that does is it does potentially limit your pool of potential stars.
It's like how
there ain't a ton of them.
It's like how we talk about the GM and president thing. Like, maybe the perfect candidate is in he's part of the family, and then good. But it does limit your pool.
It does. So that is a concern, but I don't think it is. Number one, we don't know how many players just are like, I would never want to play for John Tortorella. I just don't want to deal with that shit. I'm sure there are some. Like, I'm sure there's enough players. It's probably in double digits of current NHL players who are like, if I'm a free agent, I am never playing for John Tortorella. That looks like a shit show. And I don't blame them. Like, but there are others, like, and I know this guy is far from a star, but like a guy like Garnet Hathaway. A guy like Garnet Hathaway from afar is going to look at John Tortorella and be like, I want to play for that guy. That's the type of coach I want to play for.
Because if he became a coach, he'd be that guy.
Exactly. Well, actually, Garnet Hathaway is a lot more urbane than I think you give him credit for. He went to an Ivy League school. His dad looks like a philosophy professor with a gigantic beard and long hair. Garnet Hathaway is a lot more intelligent than I think you think he is.
I don't think he's unintelligent, but the way he plays hockey,
oh sure, he plays like a madman.
Yeah,
he plays like a madman. That's why people love him.
I think he would probably continue to be a madman behind the back. He might draw up the perfect goddamn offensive system or whatever, neutral zone forecheck, but he also might like threaten the referees and get suspended.
Fair.
Like, I can see that.
Yeah. What I'll say is that I don't think it will remove them from even most players. Okay. It is a slight concern, though, that, like, for example, and I never brought this up because I did not want to add fuel to your delusion about Elias Pettersson. I legitimately wondered if Elias Pettersson would ever in a million years want to play for John Tortorella.
I mean, he plays for Tockett.
And I don't think that has been the smoothest relationship either, from what I've heard.
He did just sign.
I know, but I think that might have been one of the reasons why it took so long for him to sign.
No, and I have heard similar things.
Yes.
Like not specifically about Tortorella or that player, but just like, yeah, might not have been on his list. Maybe this ain't exactly where I want to say I'm gonna go.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna sign an offer sheet, I might not sign it with the crazy man as head coach.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, listen, as someone who has prioritized his own happiness and mental welfare above all for 20 years, I get it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want a boss yelling at me all the time either.
Yeah, but I do think that the way the Flyers would look at it as is, if there's a star player who doesn't want to come to Philly because he doesn't want to play for Tortorella, they don't think he's the kind of star player that they want anyway. That's the way they would look at it.
We all silly like the mayor.